Well, let's do some post-election analysis. Now, all you motherfuckers out there know that I'm the realist. I tell the truth, and people don't like the truth. They don't like it on the right, nor do they like it on the left. However, I am like Eshu. I am completely ambivalent about you. Whatever energy you bring to me is the energy that you're going to get back. But we need to talk about some very real problems that start on the left and the reaction from the majority of the United States to the policies on the left. A lot of you motherfuckers out there are not going to like what I have to say, but it's got to be said. And I voted for Kamala. I voted for Kamala because I believe a woman has a right to choose. I voted for a lot of other reasons too. However, what the polls actually show is the amount of people that showed up with a woman's right to choose as a, let's say, a top 3 priority in their voting choice was only at 10%. Only 10% of the people brought up a woman's right to choose as one of the reasons why they were voting for Kamala. Now, I'm not even going to fucking go there. I am not going to go there with you, because that's a woman thing, and all y'all got to go figure that out for yourself. But I want to talk about like a real serious policy issue that I have come into contact with living in what you would say an incredibly liberal and progressive state. I live in Massachusetts and I love living here. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. However, I am affected by policies that are put into place by people who are super woke. And Massachusetts is one of the wokest places you can go in the country, besides California. So in the past, I have actually wanted to start a church. I wanted to start a coven, actually. First coven of, Northampton, Massachusetts. When I look, and this is a while back, but this came to mind, and so this is why I'm using this in this particular video to criticize the Democratic Party. So, applying for a certification as a nonprofit organization in Massachusetts. If you look at the eligibility for who can start a church or a nonprofit in Massachusetts, they're going to tell you that your organization has to be tax exempt, and at least 51% of the organization's board of directors and voting membership must be women, veterans, or members of one of the statutorily defined minority groups. What does that actually mean? That means if I'm a white guy, which I am, well, actually I'm Hispanic, but since all you motherfuckers out there straight up judge people based on the way they look only, then yeah, I'm white. If me and 3 or 4 other males, or white guys decided that we wanted to start a Wiccan mystery cult for men, a church or a coven for men, we could not do so. Who are the qualifying minority groups that have to have 51% of voting rights? 51% is very important. 51% basically says who has the final say on everything. American, Indian, indigenous people, Native Americans, Asian people, Black people, Eskimos, or Hispanic people who have their origins in Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Central or South America, or the Caribbean. I do qualify for that. But let's say that I was not Hispanic. Let's say I wasn't a Puerto Rican. I couldn't start my church. That is a barrier to entry that I find to be unacceptable. However, being poor, it's not like I can go out and get a lawyer and fight that legislation or fight those policies or even fight with the government. And in today's world, if I said, hey, I think it's really unfair that you won't let me start my organization because I don't have anybody, a person of color or a minority, that even wants to be a part of my church, that I absolutely could not do it based on those policies, those liberal, progressive, and woke policies. Now, what I just showed you was a very, very, very simple and the most direct, pointing to a policy in a liberal state that makes people mad, makes people angry. And what you saw when Trump got elected wasn't just white resentment. They're calling it the revenge of the middle class. And it's also a kind of censor or censure on wokeism, cancel culture. This is a backlash from a lot of people against the cancel culture that has happened on this app and a lot of platforms. I am one of those people. TikTok has done a immense emotional, mental, and spiritual damage on me. I hate this fucking app. And the only reason I'm on it is because I try to find other people who are like me, that like the way I teach, that want to buy my books and be my mentees, to give people readings, to run people's birth charts. So it's not necessary for me to go start a church to do what I do. I can just have a business license. However, if I was that person that was in a position where I absolutely had to be able to get a get a certificate like that in order to do what I wanted to do, I would have to bend my knee to the minority political identity politics thing. And as far as diversity, equity, and inclusion is concerned, I'm going to say something that is not popular, but it's the way people feel. It's not a reflection of how I feel. I'm telling you how a lot of people feel. And I'm not just talking about white folk. I'm talking about a lot of people. The person who should be able to get a job is the person who is the most qualified and the best at the job. And the idea is you shouldn't be able to get the job just because you're black or just because you're Hispanic or just because you're indigenous. You should be able to get a job based on how good you are at doing whatever it is that is required for you to do. What happens when we stop hiring the people who are the best at what they do and start hiring people whose skills might not be as good? The entire quality of everything that happens in America starts to go down. Not because of ethnicity, because of qualifications and education and experience. This is a very real thing, and I'm breaking this news to people because I need you to take a step back, and I need for all of the people who want to say, well, it's, who are blaming black men and Hispanic men and white men for the Trump win, and if you voted for Trump, you're hateful, racist, and terrible, horrible person. No, people vote in their best interest. People vote in their best interest. And if your life has been dramatically affected by some of these policies, then yeah, you're going to vote on getting rid of some of these policies that are a barrier to entry. Okay? I know a lot of you guys are not going to like that, but it's kind of true. And I think a lot of people did vote on the economy, and it definitely was kind of like a slap on the wrist to the Democratic Party for prioritizing minorities over a majority of people. And even though it doesn't sound good, it sounds terrible, it sounds wrong if you've been indoctrinated into liberalism, or if you've been a Democrat for a long time and if you've gone down that liberal train with the Democratic Party. It's really, really difficult to hear. But the truth of the matter is, this is reality. And so, instead of blaming any individual group of people for why Kamala didn't win, I'm going to encourage all of you to go sit and meditate on what you did that could have made Trump a winner. Because relationships are 50-50, bitch. You bring 50% to the relationship, they bring 50% to the relationship. The Democratic Party has to take responsibility for sending people over to Trump. And white people got tired of being told that they were racist. If you tell somebody they're horrible all the time, they're going to walk away eventually. If you tell men that they're horrible all the time, they will walk away eventually. And here we are. If you liked what I said, that's great. And if you didn't like what I said, that's great. You can drop your motherfucking comment below. Okay, bye.